Hello students. Today we are going to discuss the first chapter of civics, that is power sharing. Now power sharing, as the term itself says, power shared. Power can be shared among different organs of the government, different political parties, different levels of the government, different social groups, different movement groups, pressure groups. To understand it in detail, let's take an example. We take an example of a nation called Belgium. So Belgium is a small nation in Europe, and it is bordered by France, Germany, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. It is a small nation which has a population about just 1 crore. And if we compare it with India, so it is just half of say one of our state, Haryana. Imagine a nation's population and the population of one of our state. This European nation has two regions. One is Wallonia, the other one Flemish. In Wallonia region, bulk of the population speaks French, and they are about 40% of the population. In Flemish region, people speak Dutch, and they are 59% of the population. Apart from these two, there are 1% German speaking people. So this is what about the ethnic composition of Belgium. We say a small nation with about 1 crore population. It has a region, Wallonia and Flemish, and Wallonia region comprise of bulk of the population speaking French, that is 40%, and in Flemish region people speak Dutch, that is 59% of the population. And apart from these two, there are 1% German speaking people. Let's take another example of an island nation, Sri Lanka. Here we have two ethnic communities. One is Sinhala speakers, and another one Tamil speakers. If we talk about the population of this area, it's about 2 crore, and which is just similar to our state Haryana. Sinhala speakers, they comprise 74% of the population, and Tamil speakers, they are 18% of the population. And this 18% can be further bifurcated into two parts, that is Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils. So Indian Tamils had been the generation of the people who had been sent as an indentured laborer to Sri Lanka to work in the plantation fields. The people settled there, and their generation is referred as the Indian Tamils. Sri Lankan Tamils, obviously the natives of the area, they are 13%, and we have 5% as Indian Tamils. Now, apart from these, 7% Christians are there. And these Christians, they may be Sinhala speaker or a Tamil speaker. So, Sri Lanka, two communities there, Sinhala and Tamil. Sinhalese, they are 74% of the population. Tamils, they are 18%. And among these Tamils, we have Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils. Sri Lankan Tamils are 13%, Indian Tamils 5%. Apart from these, 7% Christians are also there, and they may be Sinhala or Tamil. If we talk about Sinhalese, they are more often Buddhists. And if we talk about Tamils, they may be Hindus or Muslims. Obviously, a Tamil can be a Christian also, a Tamil speaking person, as we say that 7% Christians are there who may be Sinhalese or Tamil. So till now we discussed Belgium and Sri Lanka, both these nations. In Belgium, two communities, Dutch and French. Now there had been tensions between these two communities, or what could have been the reasons for the tensions. So if we talk about the reasons for tensions, the first one is, we know Dutch, they are 59%, French 40%. Now what we find here is that Dutch, they are majority, French a minority. But French, even being minority, are more powerful. So whether economically, socially, politically, French are more powerful than the Dutch people. So Dutch, being majority, resent this. Why would a majority like this, that a minority is more powerful than them, or Dutch had not been at the state where they should have been? So reason behind it, they got the chances of development very late. So this had been one reason. Another reason we talk about is in capital Brussels. In capital Brussels, the scenario is different. Dutch, they are 20% of the population. French, they are 80% of the population. So what we find here is that Dutch now minority and French a majority. So obviously this had been the reason for the tensions, that Dutch majority in the nation, but minority and French a majority. So obviously this had been the reason for the tensions that Dutch majority in the nation but minority in the capital. Now we talk about Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, what had happened there is, you go for a term, majoritarianism. Now what does this term say? कि majority has full say in all the matters. Or they can even disregard minority. Would you say it is right? So obviously not, but this had been done, or Sri Lanka has practiced majoritarianism. Now Sri Lanka got independence in 1948. They got independent in 1948 and they followed as Senalis. They were majority, formed the government. Now these Senalis, they followed majoritarianism. And how it was practiced, the question is asked generally that how majoritarianism was practiced in Sri Lanka. So what we say about it, the first thing is that in 1956 an act was passed making Sinhala the only official language, disregarding Tamil. Senalis favored for government jobs and university positions. At last, the new constitution stipulated that states shall foster and protect Buddhism. That is, all have to follow Buddhism, and Buddhism was taken as the national religion. The majoritarianism, where majority can do whatever they wish to, disregarding minority. And in Sri Lanka it had been there that they followed majoritarianism, got independence in 1948, Senalis formed the government, and how it was practiced there. So in 1956 an act was passed according to which Sinhala was the only official language, disregarding Tamil, and Senalis favored government, Senalis were being favored in terms of, say, getting government jobs or university positions. And the new constitution stipulated that Buddhism must be fostered and protected by all. Majoritarianism followed in Sri Lanka. Obviously, it made Sri Lankan Tamils feel alienated. Alienated from the nation. So they felt alienated and started raising their demands. Now, what demands they went for? So obviously they wanted regional autonomy, that is, the areas where more Tamils are, so at least in those places the Tamils should be working out for the governance. और उसके बाद what they wanted, the status of official language for the language Tamil, and equality in terms of government jobs. But these demands were not being fulfilled, and number of groups were being formed by these Tamils, and they started demanding for a separate Elam. Now, Elam, that is state. Or these groups, there had been struggle between these Tamils and Senalis, and as this worsened, or the gap became more and more, so it virtually ended into a civil war. So number of people being killed from both the communities, many losing their jobs, many leaving their places and moving to other places, and many people moved to the other countries.